YouTube, what's good? It's your boy Big Beard B, and we are back for another edition of Big Beard Business. Today I wanted to talk to you about 7 of my favorite signature scents, so to speak. And I know when we talk about signature fragrances and being fragrance reviewers and being that we have a ton of fragrances to go through, these are fragrances that speak to me, well, almost the most. And when I say almost the most, I think the fragrances that represent me the most complete, obviously fragrances that I've released, and this could easily be a top 10, but today we're going to talk about 7. And 7 of these fragrances because, well, I think they represent me. So before my guy Kevin Samuels untimely passing, we had a conversation about just this. Fragrances that are really synonymous with people. And today I wanted to talk about not only these fragrances because I feel they represent me, but I would say they're signature, in fact, because if you were to think about these fragrances, if you tuned into the channel, then you likely think about me and some of the things that I've talked about these fragrances over the years. So without any further ado, we will go ahead and hop into today's list. Now, the first fragrance I want to talk about comes from Burberry. You already know where we're going with this one, and this one is Burberry Touch. Burberry Touch, musky, woody, fresh, inviting, and a fragrance that I feel does not get its just due. This is the fragrance that I wore in high school and I still wear today because I feel that it works across almost any age range. When we're thinking about this fragrance, specifically for me, I think about this fragrance as being one that is going to be good starter fragrance, good everyday wear fragrance, beater fragrance, so to speak, but it's also one that you can throw on when you want to make an impression. Again, it's woody, it's musky, a slight hint of floral here, but it's overall, it's going to be fresh. And then as it dries down, you have a magnificent woody feel here that I just think is really top notch for the price point. Now, this price point on this fragrance has gone down a lot since its initial release, but it's seen a bit of an uptick over the past year or so, but it's still a fairly inexpensive fragrance, and it's one that I will continue to recommend. And I think that this is one of the fragrances that when I think of myself, or people think about fragrances that are associated with me, Burberry Touch has to be on that list because, well, I wear it like none other. So there we have it, man. Burberry Touch, one of my signature fragrances that I truly enjoy. Now, the next fragrance on the list today that fits in this category for me is none other than the 2017 release of Kilian's Black Phantom. Now, Black Phantom is a fragrance that I've ranted and raved about on this channel for years, and although I haven't mentioned it as much recently, this is still a go-to scent for me. Black Phantom is rum, it's coffee, it's sugarcane, it's vetiver, a warm gourmand fragrance that really just gets the people going. In fact, I've given away so many bottles of Black Phantom over the years, you would think that I had a deal with Kilian. I do not. But Kilian, get at your boy. This is an amazing fragrance that I just have to have within my collection, and it's one that I go back to even if I'm not spraying this fragrance or wearing it. I just come back and get a whiff of it because it really just makes me feel that good on the inside. I've talked about this fragrance again to exhaustion, so I won't spend much time on it today, but if you want to know one of those fragrances that I go to that are signature scent worthy for me, although it's not always season appropriate, this is one of those fragrances that I tend to go to. It speaks to me. It is also very representative of me and what I enjoy within a fragrance, Kilian's Black Phantom. Now, the next fragrance on my list today is one that, listen, I've talked about it for 5+ years at this point. This is actually one of the first fragrances I've ever mentioned on this channel, albeit Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather was the first. This happened to be the first most complimented list I've ever done on this channel, and this one took the #1 spot when I talked about my most complimented creeds. I own this one since high school, and it will always be within my collection as long as it's available, and probably after as well, because backup bottles on deck. The fragrance I've been talking about comes from Creed, obviously, and this one is Creed's Silver Mountain Water, aka the Porcelain God, aka Mrs. Steal Your Wife, take it how you like. This scent is just top tier. When we talk about fragrances that really get things done, this is one of those scents that you should be on the lookout for. When we talk about the House of Creed, traditionally, Aventus takes that #1 spot in terms of popularity, but if you're going in for compliments, if you're going in for that different feel, that je ne sais quoi, then this is the fragrance that you should have it within your collection. And it's one of the signature fragrances for me. In fact, just last weekend, I was at an event and there was some subscribers there on the channel, and this is one of those scents that we talked about because we were trying to tell someone else about the House of Creed, but not Aventus, so to speak. Now, I do love the entire line, but not the entire line. I lied. Don't love the entire line, but this one here is just a fragrance that I enjoy. Blackcurrant, tea, open, airy, and it just gets the job done in some of those areas that are important to me, i.e. compliment factor. This one is top tier and one of the signature scents within my collection, Creed's Silver Mountain Water. Now, when I first started talking about this next fragrance, this is one of those scents people like, B, you know nothing. You don't know what you're talking about, but it's okay, my guy, it's okay. I'll accept the apologies now that your nose has matured and you enjoy this fragrance as much as I. If not, then have no fear because your boy is here to pick up all of the other bottles that remain. And anytime I go into a store and I see this one there, I'm like, ho, ho, ho. Someone's gonna get their nose on you and fall in love. The fragrance that I'm talking about is none other than the 2015 release from Maison Margiela, and this one happens to be By the Fireplace. Now, By the Fireplace is the fragrance that I gave a 10 out of 10, immediately pass go, immediately do not go to jail, come back around and collect another $200. Now, speaking of $200, this fragrance, when I originally purchased it, was about $125 or $126. Today, this fragrance is $144. You can blame inflation for that, but this scent is still worth that $144 in my personal opinion. This fragrance is clove, and it does exactly what it says, which is smell like you are by a fireplace. This is not marshmallows, but it's chestnuts roasting by the fire, and this thing here does have this creamy, sweet, gourmand aspect here, but there's also a nice bit of spice and smoke to the scent that allows that to have this more mature vibe, but it's also just an amazing top tier scent, and it's also a unisex fragrance, so it also works in that area that's important to me and hopefully some of you out there, which is that compliment factor. Again, I gave this one a 10 out of 10 in its official review. It was that way then and it's still that way today. By the Fireplace from Maison Margiela. Now, hold on, big fella. This next fragrance here is also one that is amazing, and although this one isn't readily available everywhere, there are places that you can pick this one up, and I still feel about it today the same way that I felt about it back then, and I'm only showing it to you in the new presentation because I don't want to confuse you if you're looking for this one. Now, this one here is probably not the most masculine fragrance on today's list, but we're looking for compliments and things that I find to be signature scent worthy, things that are synonymous with big beard business. Then this one here has to be on the list, and this one comes from Byron Parfums, and this one is Mula. Mula is aptly named because this one is money in the bank. Shorty, what you drink. This one is a top tier scent in my humble opinion. Mula is a 2018 release, and I got this one packaged up like it was the brick. I'll see if I can find it. If you know what I'm talking about, like a brick. I was like, whoa, let me get my my knife and open this thing up, see if I got to taste it. But no, man, all in all, Mula is this intoxicating scent. It is also very addictive to me. This is a fragrance that I have to come back to over and over again, and it took me a while to really just put this one out of my mind and try to actively remove it from lists, because if I'm thinking about fragrances that work across all boards, right? Compliment factor, projection, longevity, just everything that I would want in a fragrance, this scent does it for sure. And I try to slow it down a bit, give you guys some different things, but if you're looking for a fragrance that is going to be a signature scent for me, one of the ones that I come back to over and over again, and also it's synonymous with me a little bit. Sorry, Jan, I know that's just your brand, okay? But Mula belongs to me. Mula from the house of Byron Parfums. We're down to the final two fragrances on my list today, and these final two do not disappoint it by any means. Now, this next one that I want to talk about is one that you should get your hands on, at least get your nose on, to make sure it's something that you either do or do not want before this one is completely out of the market. I was at my local store in Dillard's, say about a week ago, and we were talking about this scent. The lady behind the counter had this one on. She smelled amazing, by the way, because I know I smell amazing when I wear the scent, and they only had had like 3 or 4 bottles left, and this one, from my understanding, is going to be discontinued. This one comes from the house of Paco Rabanne, and this one is Paco Rabanne's 1 Million Lucky. Now, in my opinion, this probably is going to be discontinued from an ingredient standpoint. There has to be something within this fragrance that is either no longer allowed to be on the regulations list or something of that nature. I would be hard pressed to say that this fragrance is going to be discontinued for sales. And in my opinion, if I look across the entire Paco Rabanne lineup, especially when we talk about what they've released recently, and within this 1 Million Flanker series, there's nothing that touches it. So if you'll listen, Paco Rabanne, don't give us these little other things that you're giving us, the Legions, which are just replays. We need something different, something that can replace this one, something that can be just as special and get people just as lucky as this fragrance does. Now, this is one of those fragrances that I stick my neck out for because, hey, if it works, it works, and I'll continue to talk about this fragrance and give it praise despite how people feel about the brand in itself. But when I'm looking across fragrances that were inspired and get that hazelnut within this fragrance, that plum within the scent, when it comes down to designer fragrances and things that worked within this time frame and still work today, this is one of those fragrances that I have to put on the list, and it's a signature scent for me. Look at how much I've used this juice. There you have it, man. 1 Million Lucky from Paco Rabanne. And the final fragrance on this list today is a repeat of a fragrance house that I enjoy, and I could dig into this house very, very deeply. I got a nice collection from them. And this fragrance is none other than that of Kilian's Angel Share. Now, if I look at this list, Angel Share is a scent that is the newest out of these fragrances that we have on today's list, but this one here is no slouch. This one is projection, performance, and compliment factor all wrapped into an amazing smelling scent. This one is warm, so this one's going to work best for you maybe in those cooler days, colder days for sure, but I am one of those guys that will wear this fragrance all year round. In fact, I did a video talking about me wearing this fragrance for an entire week and what this fragrance has done. It's rare that I wear a fragrance for an entire week straight, and this one allowed me to do so. This is, again, a newer fragrance within this lineup, and one of these fragrances that have been pretty much a signature scent for me. I wear this thing a lot, like a whole lot, and it's so nice that I had to buy it twice, and I might even buy it 3 times and get a backup bottle for myself. But if I do, I might need to buy it 4 times because the missus is going to want one as well. So Angel Share, you know how Kilian does, man. He drops these fragrances, amazing projection, amazing scent profile, and it just really transcends between genders really well. So if you're looking for something that's going to work for an entire household and not only be a signature scent for you, but be a signature scent for your boo thing, then this is what you should look for. Those are 7 signature fragrances that mean so much to me, and I feel that my name is synonymous with them, but also that these are fragrances that I go back to over and over and over and over again. So what signature fragrances do you have on your list? What are ones that you recommend? And how do you feel about the 7 that I provided you today? That's all I have for you today. As always, I'm your boy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend that we are back again. And you already know what I need you to do. Just hit the goddamn bell.